safety, and well-being of all learners, teachers, and other DepEd employees, our department has come up with this learning continuity plan, which directs us to utilize the different learning modalities. The learning delivery modalities had been discussed to us by some of our fellow school heads last meeting. Since face-to-face learning is prohibited by our government, we have identified the three learning delivery modalities which we may implement in our school. So distance learning and homeschooling, these are the three learning delivery modalities. And from among these options, we will be choosing which is very appropriate in our own respective school. Then, after we have understood the different learning modalities we're asked to validate, as I've said a while ago, we have to validate our choice of modalities through the use of learning delivery modality decision tree and through using our health and safety data and our student preparedness data. After all those, after we have assessed the readiness, we now proceed to planning for implementation. What are we going to do now? Is of course is to implement our plan. So to enable us to successfully implement our plan or the delivery learning modality we have chosen, there is a need to provide technical assistance and coaching as so after we have gone through the process, all this process, this time, let us not forget to establish the measures to track our progress in the delivery of the most essential learning competencies through the chosen learning delivery modules. And now, the monitoring and the evaluation, which is now my task for today's activity. So by the end of this module, we would be able to carry out the monitoring and evaluation of the implementation of LDMs adopted by our school. So we will define monitoring and evaluation. We are going to describe the two frameworks relevant to monitoring and evaluation, the theory of change and Kirkpatrick's levels of monitoring and evaluation of training. And then we're going to relate the two frameworks as they apply to LDM implementation. But before we do that, let us define what monitoring and evaluation is. Let us first get familiar with some frameworks or guiding concepts and principles found in these two theories, the theory of change and Kirkpatrick's levels of monitoring and evaluation of training. Then, after discussing this, we're going to check the similarities between the two theories, and we'll also study how these two frameworks related. Okay, so first, let us pick up this theory of change. Theory of change is essentially a comprehensive description and illustration of how and why a desired change is expected to happen in a particular context. It is focused in particular on mapping out or filling in what has been described as the missing middle between what a program or change initiative does, its activities or the interventions, and how this lead to desired goals being achieved. It does this by first identifying the desired long-term goals, then works back from this to identify all the conditions or the outcomes that must be in place and how this related to one another for the goals to occur. These are all mapped out in an outcomes framework. Theory of change is popularized by Weiss. Weiss. As the name suggests, a theory of change is the thinking behind how a particular intervention will bring about results. So this explains how the activities undertaken by an interventions such as this learning delivery modalities contribute to a chain of results that lead to an intended or absorbed impact. Okay, so if you're going to look at the slide, that comes framework then provides the basis for identifying what type of activity or intervention will lead to the outcomes identified as preconditions for achieving the long-term goal. Through this approach, the precise link between activities and the achievement of the long-term goals are more fully understood. This leads to better planning and that activities are linked to a detailed understanding of how things actually happens. It also leads to better evaluation as it is possible to measure progress towards the achievement of longer term goals that goes beyond the identification of program outputs. So, um, if you're going to look at the slide, there are two men or two people uh, planning to cross the ocean, and they have found out during the implementation of the plan they have made, they have realized that there is an error along the way. So even if they have the goal, they have to go back to check all the things they did for them to enable to achieve or achieve the goal they have set. Okay. So let's go to the Kirkpatrick four-level training evaluation model. This model was created by Donald Kirkpatrick in 1959. The model is composed of reaction, learning, behavior, and result. Okay. So Kirkpatrick four levels of evaluation. This has been used by most of the organizations because this has been or this has become very effective, especially in measuring whether the training or whether the target or the goal is whether the implementation of the target is effective. So you would Kirkpatrick's evaluation model is often presented as a set of tiers representing a hierarchy as shown below. Okay, for level 1, reaction. What is the reaction of, for example, now that we are offering learning delivery modules to the parents, choosing distance learning as the best option in delivering the lesson. So to check whether we have implemented well our learning delivery of the LDM we have chosen. So we can ask ourselves, did they like it? So we would be expecting reaction from the parents, from the teachers, and from the students. Then for level two, learning. Did they learn it? And then do they use it? That is level three, referring to the behavior. Is there a change in behavior? So we have to see to it that there is a change in behavior. Are they utilizing what they learned at work? Is there an application? Is there a change in behavior? So that's level three. And then let's go to number four. Did it improve results? So we need to determine if the material or the delivery we have chosen um, provide or resulted to impact in our school and in our students. So, for example, can we so we can also check whether there is an increase in the academic performance of the students after we have implemented the delivery or learning delivery module we have chosen. We can ask this after the implementation to check whether we have implemented this well. Wait, excuse me. There's an error. Okay, next. Wait for a while. Okay, so again, the Kirkpatrick model is used to evaluate the effectiveness of a training program in order to determine if a training is yielding the intended outcomes and results. So this is just the same as the diagram I've shown you a while ago. So the four components of the Kirkpatrick models, the reaction level one, what would be the reaction of the people around, the parents, the teachers, and the students regarding the new setup of delivering lesson, which is distance learning. Then learning. To what extent did participants acquire intended knowledge, skills, and abilities as a result of training? So we should check whether has learning has been active. Is there an increase or did the students learn? Are they now knowledgeable regarding or for example in a particular lesson? Are they now knowledgeable? Are they skillful? And is there an improvement in their abilities as a result of training? Okay, next. To what extent did participants apply, incorporate what they learned during training when they are back at work? When they are back at work, so the behavior, is there a change in the behavior of the people around us? Then, to what extent did the training improve business or performance results, or in the case of safety, improve metrics as evidenced by a decrease in incidents, accidents, for example? So we should check the result. There should have a positive impact or positive result. Okay, so this time we're going to define what is monitoring and evaluation all about, and what are their relationship. Okay, monitoring and evaluation are very important. They are ways of systematically measuring and assessing program activities and results. So every after the activity has been conducted, we need to measure, or we need to assess the program or the activities, whether the implementation has been successful or not. Their purpose is to check on the progress of implementation and output systematically. So we have to check whether we are progressing or not. Monitoring and evaluation, they help to determine when a program is going to plan and when changes may be needed. So means, for example, in the strategy we're using, so through monitoring and evaluation, we're able to revise the plan to make it very effective. This will enable us to make timely decisions. So this will help us make timely decisions to address challenges, leverage on opportunities to become efficient and effective in providing relevant support to our school or clientele or to our clientele. Okay, what is the difference between the two? Monitoring, when we monitor, this usually takes place while the activity is being undertaken. For example, when we conduct inset in the school, we have to check whether all our teachers are attending or not. We have to monitor their attendance. Then we have to check progress against plans. What is our plan? We conducted, for example, NSET to enable our teachers to capacitate them to improve their teaching competency. So we need to check whether there is an improvement on their part against the plans we had. Then for evaluation, we have to appraise data. So there is a need to appraise the data and the information so that we can make a right decisions. And this will help us to improving the project or program in the future. So after the monitoring, we can have now the evaluation. We have to evaluate our activities, whether it is done successfully, whether there is things to be improved, things that need to not to anymore be practiced. So evaluation, this usually takes place at the end of the activity. That's the time for us to evaluate. Evaluate. So there is a data that will help us come up with the data that serves as the basis for us to improve our strategy, for example, in teaching. So that's one way to help.
Ang saksakan. Ini. Iche kung ginarayta ba
Okay, is there what are the similarities between theory of change and Kirkpatrick's level of monitoring? Both evaluation and both theory of change and Kirkpatrick's level of monitoring and evaluation are um, both can be used in solving a problem. Both have goals to achieve. Both undergo the process of monitoring and evaluation, looking at the things that have happened. Okay. And next is uh, we're going to discuss the framework for the monitoring and evaluation of your implementation of your chosen LDMs. Then prepare a monitoring and evaluation plan. Discuss how monitoring and evaluation data will inform our decision making on any necessary changes and adjustments to our LDM implementation. So here is the framework. Okay, we need to monitor and evaluate the governance, the program, or the process we are doing in delivering the learning delivery modality we have chosen. For example, we have chosen from among the distance learning options, the modular approach. So we need to check whether our our programs, the processes we're doing are aligned to the achievement of the goals we have set. So if you're going to look at the framework, it starts with the inputs. We need to enable to deliver or to manage implementation well. We need to engage our partners. We have to check, or we have to assess the capability building, for example, of our teachers in delivering the lesson. Then we have to assure whether the process we are having in delivering the program is qualitative. Then if there is a need to provide technical assistance and coaching, so these are the inputs. And what are we expecting? The outputs, of course, functional, technical assistance and coaching mechanism, LDM course program for teachers, school leaders, and technical assistance providers and coaches. So these are the outputs. So after we have inputted all this, for example, technical assistance and coaching mechanisms for teachers, we can expect that there will be a functional and coaching mechanism in the program we are having. Then we can also have the midterm outcomes, management of LDM at this is in the division. Okay, in the workplace, we can check whether the workplace is okay And if the self-learning modules are met the required number of, for example, the children, do they receive 1:1 uh, modules? Were we able to achieve the target of delivering the modules effectively? So is there a positive impact? So that's our final outcomes. There should have we uh we should see to it that we're able to contribute to this to the target of the DepEd. The responsiveness to sulong edukalidad directives. Were we able to achieve the objectives in the learning continuity plan of the DepEd? Okay, were we able to improve our, or is there a progress in the governance and management in delivering LDM? Okay, so that's for governance program and processes. We need to monitor during the conduct of the activity or while the activity is being done, and later to evaluate what is the effect after the implementation has been made. Okay, so the same again, it started with the training, for example, here preparedness. So in school, have we conducted training for teachers to be prepared along different aspects? For example, the psychosocial of the teacher, the health status. Have we provided technical assistance? And have we focused learning? Do we have focused learning? Do we provide competencies or learning competencies of teachers to deliver the milk using LDM? Then, what is the effect of the strategies or of the activities we gave to the teachers? Is there a positive, is there a change in their behavior, positive behavior? Is there a change? And of course, uh, our ultimate goal is to improve the performance of both the teachers and the students. Okay, so this time we're going to open the monitoring and implementation plan template. So what M&E data will you need to make this decision? What issues or constraints do you foresee arising if you change the LDM of your school? For example, we changed our LDM from modular approach to blended learning. So we need to study. We have to check whether the implementation is okay. So we also have to check whether we have provided technical assistance to the teachers, to the parents, and to the students. And after checking or monitoring those activities we did or we had in delivering LDM, we have chosen from, for example, from modular to blended learning. What is the reason why we changed the LDM of our school? So there are many reasons why we decided to change the LDM of our school, assuming this is what we do. So we need to make decisions after monitoring and evaluation for the improvement of instruction. So this is the LDM implementation and MNE Plan Template. So this MNE plan will cover 4 levels, namely inputs and activities, outputs, midterm results, and outcomes. Inputs and activities refer to tasks related to the implementation of the LDM in the school that need to be conducted in order to prepare and improve the school's implementation of the LDM. Output refers to resources, materials, and processes that are produced from the activities conducted in relation to the LDM implementation. And the midterm results refer to the desired state along areas of the implementation of the LDM that the intervention would be or would like to achieve. And then finally, outcomes refer to the impact of the LDM implementation in the school and the quality of learners' outcomes. So these are the specific concerns that we need to monitor and evaluate. The learning resources. Uh, are our learning resources sufficient? Management. How do we manage learning? How about the teachers' capability? Their teaching competencies, are they appropriate? The teaching competencies, the strategies used by the teachers, are they suited to the kind of teaching or teaching they are introducing to our teachers? Household and community capacity. We also have to check the capacity of the household in the community. For example, we have to check whether the parents can help in the instruction, in the delivery of the instruction. Are they literate? Are they can they help teach the students the modules that their children have or has received? Can they provide technical assistance? Can they coach to their children? And then we also have to consider school operations. Okay, inputs and activities. What are the activities we need to do to effectively and efficiently implement LDM in the school? So we have to select what indicators in order for to respond to the monitoring and evaluation inquiry. Okay, for example, we'd like to check the teaching capacity of the teacher. So that's one of the indicator we're going to use. So that's what are the activities we need to do to enable the teacher or to develop the teaching competencies of the teachers, for example. Okay, so we have to monitor the performances of the teachers. How many teachers teach the modules effectively? Then when are we going to do this? Then how are we going to process the data we have gathered? And then from whom will data come from? and who will collect. So these are the things that we need to consider when we prepare our monitoring and evaluation plan. So the inputs and activities are the following: learning resources. When there are problems, if there are problems encountered along learning resources, so what should we do? Along learning management, teacher capacity, household and community capacity, school operation. Then this time, we're going to check what resources, materials, and processes will be produced from the activities. After we have, for example, we have done distributing the modules. What do we expect from those modules? We have distributed to the students. The teachers will, of course, expect that the modules have been answered and that students have learned the lesson uh, through self-learning modules given to them. Okay, so those are the things that we need to prepare in order for us to be able to monitor and evaluate how we implement the learning modalities we have chosen. So we can make adjustments to our MNE plan based on the discussion or the template, the questions in the template provided. And of course, this will be asked from us by our LAC leader. So we have to be reminded preparing all these things. We have to submit this monitoring and evaluation plan. Okay, so before I end my presentation, let me give you the adage of Peter Drucker, the ageless essence of leadership is to create an alignment of strengths in ways that make a system's weaknesses irrelevant. To all of you, thank you and good morning. Nadabon ako.
Thank you, Ma'am Rose. Thank you, Ma'am Rosemary Luzada,
No,
the principal of Goa National High School, for being able to deliver po your session to our Black team members. So let us give a warm virtual applause
dito
to
mo
Ma'am
naman.
Rose. Everybody, let us clap our hands for Ma'am Rose. Okay. So thank you po. Again, like what I've said, because of the
Okay?
interest of time, what we will reinforce with the discussion of Memrose is, of course, submitting for this particular module. So expectedly, we are to design your own LDM implementation MNE plan template that has been discussed by Ma'am Rose. So if you are
Hello?
hello ma'am, you are still online. So if you are holding your LDM implementation plan template, I hope you have it with you. Please hold a copy of your LDM implementation MNE plan template. So this is again what is expected for this module. So as emphasized here, if in the TA implementation plan, your emphasis is on the provision of technical assistance alone, here you are to monitor and evaluate to come up with a plan on how will you monitor and implement these areas, and that includes learning resources, learning management, teacher capacity, household and community capacity, and school operations. Nakuha niyo po. So meron lang kayong limang areas wherein you have to plan to conduct monitoring and evaluation. So very clear naman yung template.
Hello?
It says here that hello, hello
Uday
Ma'am
na ako
Rose.
nag-ano.
Yung okay, oh, sige lang. So as I was saying, the template is very clear on what it is asking for us. So there are five categories that you need to look into or to monitor and evaluate. And these five categories are divided into two as discussed by Mom Rose, that is on inputs and activities and outputs. So in each inputs, you'd notice that the five categories are there. Nakita nyo? Sa inputs and activities, nandun yung learning resources, learning management, teacher capacity. So as with the outputs, so as with the midterm results, and so as with the, tama po ba? Am I correct? And expect for the outcomes. Tama ba? Siguro similarly, nandun yan. Nandun pa rin yun. Ano? So, yun po ang gagawin natin. You have to look into these five
Hello?
categories. Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. You're still online. Still online po. I'm just trying to synthesize what Ma'am Rose has discussed and strengthen 10% power remaining. I hope I can do it while we are having this discussion. So again,
Ano,
you
ay,
have to
ano.
fill out the template under indicator. I'll give you an example, just a rundown on how will you do it,
Hey,
on
ano
how
ba?
you fill it out. Sinulat ko na yun. Nasaan? Say for example, under learning resources, what are the indicators needed for this? It says here, what indicators will be gathered to respond? So, specifically, halimbawa ngaya, indicator here is your percentage of learning SLM, self-learning module reproduce. Ano yung percentage? So, isusulat mo dito sa indicator. Percentage of the self-learning module reproduce. Iyan nga ang inano mo, pig-monitor mo kung ilan na yung percentage ng na-reproduce mong learning resources. Pagdating mo naman sa data collection method, how will you gather the indicator? So isusulat mo naman dito, siguro paano ko ba i-gather siya? In a form of a survey. You ask your subject teachers kung ilan na ba yung na-reproduce natin. So that's a survey. Or you ask an FGD or you create a focus group discussion asking your members, ma'am, meron pa pala tayong kulang dito, ma'am, parang, so you're already asking, you're interviewing people, so you can write here, your method of collection is interview. Or you can also come up with holding a meeting and then asking questions, ganon, ganyan. So yun ang how you collect your data. Tapos, when will you gather the indicator? Kailan mo ba siya i-gather? So, you write a specific plan, a specific date, kung kailan mo balak siyang i-gather. Say, for example, ngayong September 10. So, ilalagay mo naman doon kung paano mo siya, ang date the date that you gather. How will you process the data gathered o paano mo siya ipoprocess? So you will analyze na currently pala ito na lang yung ano namin, yung ito pa lang yung nare-reproduce namin. Okay? Tapos how will I do? Mag-iisip ka na naman ano pang mabuting gawin para madagdagan yung ating na-reproduce. Na who will collect and analyze the data? So you don't have to do it by yourself. Again, you have your, let's say, your reproduction team. Diba? You were asked to come up with a technical working group now responsible for the reproduction of your team. I mean reproduction of the modules, the reproduction and distribution of modules kung ganyan ilan na. Pero so meron kayong team. So you can say na you will collect the data from your technical working group members. Now, how will you use your MNE results? So meron ka ng data, meron ka ng percentage as to how much na yung na-reproduce mo, saan ka pa may kulang, saan na okay na, ano pang problema. This will serve as your basis. You use that as a basis for budgeting. For the next printing naman, ginagamitan mo siya. So you make use that as a basis for again planning, for budgeting, for strategizing kung paano ba mas mapapadami yung na-produce natin. Nakukuha niyo po, my dear teachers. I'm sorry, my dear school heads. Yan po ang gagawin natin. So, dapat yun ang lumabas sa implementation nyo sa template na yon. Okay. Halimbawa naman sa teacher capacity. What do you want? What indicator? Number of teachers trained or number of teachers to be trained. O, yan. Using the different platforms, lagay nyo naman doon. How will you gather the indicator? Again, you do a survey, you do an interview, you do an FGD, you do a document analysis if you have there, if you have the data, you do that. What will be the time? Timing and date of collection has just always something to do with a date. Kung paano nyo. How will you analyze the method? Paano nyo yan i-analyze? So can you make use of, again, we can make use of the data by studying it, by considering it, by seeing kung saan nyo siya pwedeng mapadadagdagan. Who will collect? Siyempre, ikaw. Who, the school head. How will you use that? That can again serve as basis for your next capacity building to teachers and all. Naintindihan po, my dear school heads? Naintindihan? Can you reply? Oh, wala na kayo dyan. Hello? Nakuha po, how will you accomplish the template? So yun po, mag-iisip tayo. Halimbawa naman sa output, what resources, materials, and processes will be produced from the activities. Yan. So, anong activities ang nire-refer dito? Yung nasa inputs and activities. Gaya nga ng learning resources, anong outputs ang ine-expect mo dyan? O, dapat may data ka na dito, data on the actual, let's say nga, data on the actual number of self-learning module reproduce at present, actual and at present. How will you gather yun? So, alam nyo na kung paano gagawin yon. So that is how this template is accomplished. And again, as I've been telling you, all of this from inputs, outputs, up until midterm results are encompassing the 5 major categories that you have to conduct an MNE with. Okay. If you have question as to how will you do it, yeah, you can ask me. But before you ask me, see to it that you have fully read and understand the module and its guidebook. Ano po? Okay na? Ito yung main concern natin dito with this module. So, idadagdag natin siya as to the outputs after the monitoring and implementation plan. After yung sa module 6, we have the MNE plan. So, okay. So, we are done with our last module. Yes, hooray to us. We are soon to graduate with this course. Hopefully, after all you having submitted the requirements needed, that's the time that we considered ourselves done with the course. After your outputs have been evaluated, after it has been assessed, and then you will be certified that you have complied with the requirements of this course. So as I was saying, we are done with module 6. It's only 11 o'clock and we're good to go for our last and final module to be discussed to us by Ma'am Lilibeth Roman for our final module or module 7, which is Ano yung module 7 natin? Our module 7 is on I forgot. I'm sorry. Okay. So if you are ready, Beth, with your discussion on module 7, and we are ready to listen. Okay, guys, hold on as we embrace our final session for this course, the Learning Delivery Modality 1. Take
Okay
it away,
po.
Ma'am Beth.
Okay, Ma'am Ayer, just give me po 1 minute to fix everything.